Hello again guys, welcome back to another Big L Devlin video, and this is a tale of a gamer. And I have currently just received the limited edition, which I'll show you now. I've got paint in my hand, so I best be careful how I handle it. Limited edition Demon Codex, which is absolutely beautiful, bursting with artwork, um, fluff, background, and of course the rules themselves. Now that's for another day. I will do a video on that when I find that I have an opportunity. I'm getting a little bit sort of behind on videos at the moment, but I will do my best to share that with you guys, because I think it's something it would be nice for you guys to see who at the time either couldn't afford it or never got an opportunity to get it, because of course it is a limited edition book. However, from that, the rules are no different. Don't worry, that doesn't give an advantage. All it does is look prettier and cost more. But because I'm more of a collector, a modeler than I'm a gamer, I find that I like to spend my money on those kind of things. Whereas if I was a gamer, I wouldn't do it because I'd be too afraid of getting it damaged. But from that, from the rule set, the new rule set of Demons for 8th edition, post indices, I have created on here a 2,000 point army list that I feel works quite well. Now there will be big gaping holes in the army, but it suits the aesthetic that I want. It's got the models that I like and enjoy the actual look of. I do not buy a model that I don't like the look of. So for example, I love the rules of the Keeper of Secrets. Would love to have him. Love the fluff, love the background, love everything about him apart from a model. And I'm not prepared to use an alternative model from an alternative manufacturer, or Forge World in this case. Normally I would buy Forge World, but I have had a Forge World Greater Demon of slaanesh, which is, you know, Keep Secrets, and it's fragile as anything. I bought it off eBay, and I sold it straight away because it was just, one, it was horrendously painted. The sprays had been pro painted, and they took an amazing photograph of it. It looked absolutely sublime, and I thought, yeah, that will look really good. And then when you get it in your hands, you're like, what? I was painting like this 10 years ago. Anyway, that's another story for another time. So at the moment, there are no greater demons either summoned in or included into the army in any way whatsoever. That may of course change when the Keeper of Secrets does become available, but that's probably in roughly a year's time, the rumour mill would suggest. However, so what I am doing is I'm working primarily with Heralds of slaanesh on foot as my HQ, but I've broken myself, even though I didn't want to do it. I am still continuing to use some of the rules from Index Chaotica, simply because they're still legal and they'll be allowed to be used. If a model that you have, this is in general for guys who don't know, if a model that you have is not represented in a new codex with a rule set, then and it previously had rules, certainly within the index at least anyway, then you are allowed to continue to use that model, completely legal, in every way whatsoever. There cannot be any sort of, well, I'm not playing against that. It's completely stated in the rule categorically that you can continue to use those models as long as you use the index rules and don't modify them in any way whatsoever. Now, if there are no rules for those models in the index, and there's no rules for the model in the codex, then of course you cannot use them unless you're doing a custom campaign or something, but that goes without question. So what I've done is I have included 2 Heralds of slaanesh on Exalted Seeker Chariots because I needed the extra HQ. I didn't want 5 Heralds on foot. It was too much, because I needed 5 HQs to do what I'm doing here. Okay. Now the army list that I have here is 2,000 points. I will include a copy of it in the description beneath, so if you want a copy of the army list, feel free. It will be brief. There won't be no points included with it, but it will tell you what models are in the army, and I would be more than happy to actually give you the points but I think Games Workshop go real heavy on your ass when you do that, regards copywriting. But leading my army, I have a Herald of Slaanesh on foot, and I would give her the claws, the special claws, for her relic. I haven't really decided on the relics and warlord traits, to be honest. So, and in fact, if I admit it's an overlook, let's have a look now. What would I give her? Realistically, because I keep forgetting that you can of course have relics and everything now. So my champion, my leader, my general of my force is a Herald of Slaanesh on foot. Makes her a little bit on the fragile side, but it does mean that she can hide away behind big blocks of infantry, and there's nothing you can do until you get through that infantry. So her strength will be her weakness, the fact that she's a small model. But if you get into combat with her, she can dish it out. But if you get into combat with her with something that can really dish it out and take it in return, then she's gone. Or if you do get a few stray bolter rounds that can hit her, then again she's kind of screwed. Slothful Claws are melee weapons. They give +1 strength. Bear in mind, being a Herald Slaanesh, she already gets +1 strength aura to all models within 6 inches, including herself. And she's strength 4 anyway, so this will make the model strength 6. It's -2 AP. I'll double check that. I hope I haven't told you a lie, guys. I missed the old books where the rules were all in the back and everything. Everything was easy to find. I didn't have to go all over the place with the things. So yeah, Herald of Slaanesh as standard is strength 4. And the Locus of Slaanesh, add 1 to the strength characteristic of any Slaanesh demon units within 6 inches of 1 or more friendly models with this ability. So let me clear state that even if they were to argue the opposition that she can't give it to herself, I'm including 3 heralds on foot in my army, and they're going to be fairly close together, so they'll benefit off one another anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but that does benefit the model itself. I think it's quite clear in the way that's worded. Okay, so she's strength 5 naturally. You give her the Slothful Claws, she becomes strength 6, and she gets that typical Slaaneshi on a roll of a 6. Your AP, instead of being -1 or -2, whatever it is, goes down to -4 instead. That's quite deadly, especially as heralds on foot do 2 damage per attack. So that makes her really a nasty surprise, because people are going to think, well, she's on foot, she's just a herald, who cares? Okay, she's going to be somewhat dangerous, but who really cares? Okay, well, that can be a nasty surprise. If not, Soul Stealer, that is where each time you kill a character, sorry, that's for Greater Demons only. The Mark of Excess, there we go. But every time you kill a character or monster, you get an attack, and you start with +1 attack when you're starting profile. No, I wouldn't give it to a herald. If I could have heralds on chariots still and give them one of these, then absolutely yes. The Mark of Excess would definitely be useful in her case. And the Mark of Excess would work very well with a Greater Demon. But again, excuse me. Again, I don't have any Greater Demons in my force. The Forbidden Gem, that's a 1-use item where you roll 3d6. If you roll higher than the leadership of the enemy character that you choose within range, which is a range of 12 inches, then they basically can't do anything in that turn. Literally nothing at all. That's useful, but it's 1-use only. I hate 1-use only items. So to me, I would probably give her either the Mark of Excess or Slothful Claws, but Slothful Claws I think is something a little bit better. Regards Warlord traits for Slaanesh, Bewitching Aura. I don't even have to look at the rest. I know that's what I'd want. Enemy models within 6 inches of the Warlord subtract 1 from their attack characteristic down to a minimum of 1, and this does not affect enemy vehicles. So obviously you're not going to, if a Defiler gets down your ranks, you're not going to diminish it, or Dreadnought or anything along those lines, but that could be really useful. Slaanesh works really well when you're buffing your units and debuffing the enemy units, and using your speed and mobility to get to where you want when you want. It's like fighting with Dark Eldar. You must dictate the battlefield as Slaanesh. There is no way around it if you want to succeed, because predominantly you are toughness 3, you're 5+ invulnerable. They're the mass majority of your models on the battlefield, and that's fragile. And even the ones that are a little bit tougher, the chariots, Seekers probably have 2 wounds, but the chariots are a little bit tougher. They don't hang around that long, guys. And so it's important that that obviously you kill whatever can kill you first. And obviously that's one of the tactics that you do, is you debuff them to make it harder for them to kill you, and you buff yourself so that when you do attack, you hit hard. Okay, so I haven't got very far yet, have I? So basically I've got a Herald of Slaanesh as my general of my force. The Herald of Slaanesh, we've gone over the Bewitching Aura and Slothful Claws as the relic and warlord traits that I would give to her. However, she would have 2 sisters, so she's a triplet. So overall I have 3 Heralds of Slaanesh, and each Herald of Slaanesh will be attached to, or will be behind, a unit of Demonettes. And so I'll have 3 units of 12 Demonettes. Now some people may be saying, well, why are you having 12? Why not 10? Or if you're going to go beyond 10, why not go all the way up to 20 and get the bonus attack that Demonettes get when they're in units of 20 or above? I don't go for the bonus attack for having models of, a model count of 20 or above, because Demonettes are so fragile, it's easy to lose that. It's easy to just go back down to your normal attacks. It gives the enemy something to do. They have to kill the Demonettes before they get to combat, otherwise they are going to get turned into mincemeat, but it's not that hard a thing to do. 1 bolt pistol, bang, job is done. Okay, so consequently what I would say is I don't aim for the 20. If I'm going to max out the size, I'd go beyond 20 if I can. I don't even know if you can have more than 20 models in a Slaanesh unit. I've never checked. But the reason I've gone for 12 is it's fluffy. The number of Slaanesh is 6. 2 lots of 6 is 12. Okay, so I've gone for 3 units of Demonettes, each 12 strong, and each led by a Herald in the back. Obviously they don't attach themselves to the units these days like they used to, but 3 Heralds of Slaanesh in the background. Okay, now what that does is it gives me a very solid core in the centre of the battlefield to go claiming objectives with, and it gives me 3 Psychers as well. Don't forget, Heralds of Slaanesh are Psychers, so I get Psychic Defence and I get Psychic Offence, which is something that people underestimate Heralds of Slaanesh for. They are quite good in combat, but they are minor Psychers also. They're not the greatest of Psychers, but they're not bad. And put on top of that then another 3 units of 12 or 36 Demonettes, and you've got a real handful. You've got to deal with that, because that will cut its way through your army, regardless of whether you're wearing Terminator armor, power armor, whether you've got a Land Raider. Those rolls of 6 to wound that cause a -4 AP, they really do a lot of damage. They do a lot of damage if left unchecked. So far we've got 3 Heralds of Slaanesh, the triplets, leading each their unit of personal bodyguards, I suppose. And I quite like this. It's fluffy. 12, the unit of the number of, well, double the number of Slaanesh, but also with the Heralds attached, 13 looking for some. I love that. I love those kind of fluffy background elements to the army. I try to get them in there. Okay, now interspersed, imagine this, in the centre of the army I have 1 unit of Demonettes here with the general. I have another unit of Demonettes here with a Herald, and another one here, in essentially like almost like a mini triangle formation. In the gaps between those units I will slot in 2 exalted chariots, okay, of Slaanesh. They are just normal exalted chariots. They benefit obviously from do they benefit from, let me check, this is something I just have to double check. The Locus of Slaanesh, that gives +1 to strength. does that affect vehicles? Yeah, any slaanesh demon unit and exalted seeker chariots do counter the slaanesh demon. So my chariots are at +1 strength when they're within 6 inches of any of the heralds that is in the centre of my force. That makes them hit really hard because they're okay. They're only strength 4, but now they're strength 5. But they have an overall, I think, of 16 attacks at strength 5. When you count the seekers themselves as well, which are putting them out. So imagine that, a unit there with just 16 strength 5 attacks alongside all the demonettes. It just adds a little bit of extra strength to the centre of the force and a little bit of extra durability. They are harder to take down than the average demonette, and they look cool. I love the way those models look, so that's always an advantage. Now this is where things get a little crazy. They get a little crazy. That would be, I believe it's I think they call it the battalion detachment. Yeah, that would be my battalion detachment, and it's fulfilling all the needs that my battalion detachment needs, which is 1 to 3 HQ and 3 troops. Okay, I've just got it up here, so let me have a look. Oh no, so you need 2 HQ and 3 troops. And I've got 3 HQ, 3 troops, and 2 heavy support, and you're allowed a maximum of 3. For that, I get 3 extra command points. So, and you start with 3 command points anyway. I've got now 6 command points. I then add what's called, I've never used one before actually, but a spearhead detachment. I always use vanguard detachments in every army I've ever had before. But I'm using a spearhead detachment, which is 1 to 2 HQ and a minimum of 3 heavy support, but a maximum of 6 heavy support, and obviously then a few fast attack and that if you want them and stuff. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 HQ that you're allowed within that spearhead detachment and make them exalted heralds of slaanesh on. Sorry, heralds of slaanesh on exalted chariots. And I'm going to use them. Obviously, they don't give +1 strength like the new heralds do to models within 6 inches. No, they do, because it used to be an old rule in the old index anyway. But it might affect the locus. I don't know, of the ability to advance and then charge. Let's just get that up now. I'd rather clarify these rules with you as we go through, because these are things that you don't think of, or you do think of but can't be asked to look at as you go on. I'm pretty sure it's at the beginning. If I struggle to find the rules, guys, I'm not going to spend a long time doing it. So, armies of the Immaterium. Okay, basically slaanesh always strike first, even if charged. We know that. But they also, if here we go. So this is the official ruling for demonic loci. The champions of the demonic legions act as focal points for the will of the chaos gods themselves, infusing nearby minions with a measure of their master's power. If your army is battle forged, my army will, all characters in the chaos demons detachment gain a demonic locus, so long that as every unit in that detachment owes its allegiance to the same god. The demonic locus gained depends on their allegiance, as shown in the table opposite. Okay, and for example, all characters in a Nurgle Chaos Demons detachment gain the local virulence. So, in my argument, the Herald on an Exalted Chariot would actually gain this locus, because and I give you the reasons why. This is page 124 on the limited edition book, so I don't know obviously if that will match up to the normal book, but it's called the Eternal Hordes, the section where it is. If your army is Battleforged, my army is Battleforged, okay? All characters in a Chaos Demons detachment, and I have 2 detachments, so all the characters in both of those detachments gain the locus, providing they are Chaos Demon, and they're Chaos Demons. Heralds are Chaos Demons. So as a result, they would gain the slaanesh locus of swiftness, which means that themselves and any friendly model within 6 inches can declare a charge even after they have advanced. Ooh. Wow, that's very good. I actually didn't think they got that. I thought because being an older model they wouldn't gain that. So that makes my army actually just a little bit better. They don't really need it. They're fast anyway, these models. But you know, being able to advance and charge, it's an extra 3 inches on average, isn't it? So it makes, as all the girls out there will tell you, every inch counts. So we'll just go through it quickly. In the centre, we have our 3 units of 12 demonettes, all led by their own herald. One of the heralds is the general with the slothful claws and the bewitching aura. In between those 3 units, or interspersed between those 3 units of demonettes, we have 2 exalted chariots. On the flanks, the very far flanks of my force, we will have on each flank 2 exalted chariots, one on each side, and in the centre of those chariots we'll have an exalted, we'll have a herald of slaanesh on an exalted chariot, and they're there to protect my flanks and roll in, hopefully, round the enemy's flanks if they can overcome them, and into the enemy's centre or back line. Now, if they don't do it, in between them and the demonettes, there is a whole host of other goodness going, and that is how many do they take overall? 2 units of 12 seekers. So on each side of the blob of demonettes in the middle, you've got 12 seekers. Seekers are demonettes on steeds, essentially. Okay, and they're a little bit harder to kill than demonettes. They're super quick. They got a lot of attacks because the seekers themselves can attack, the mount can attack as well as the demonettes, and they're just harassment. And they have that ability to just go, advance, charge, get into your lines, hold up your gun lines, whilst perhaps if they're a little bit faster than chariots, I don't know, I can't remember their speed, but they just allow you then to get into position, into where you want, and then bang, you give the final coup de grace. So you've got a big blob in the middle of demonettes, heralds, 3 heralds, and 2 chariots, which is a nice centre. On either side of them, you have a unit of 12 seekers. On either side of them, you have 2 exalted chariots and a herald on an exalted chariot on both sides. So it fulfills my OCD, my obsession of OCD. My OCD, I don't have OCD, but I hate things that are asymmetrical. It has to be a symmetrical force when I do an army. It's a perfectly symmetrical army. Every aspect of it is completely symmetrical, and I can fit all that into 2,000 points. Plus, I have spare, I believe it's 280 points, yes. Sorry, 140 points. I have spare, I think. Well, anyway, I have enough. No, I have a. Sorry, that's where I was getting confused. I have 280 points spare, which allows me to channel. Okay, not summon, although I can use command points to do this. To summon, or to channel, or summon using command points, an extra 4 units of 10 demonettes. So I've got my 3 units of 12 deployed on the battlefield, but I can use my character models, my heralds, as long as they don't move in the movement phase, they can roll 3d6, and if they get over the power rating, which I think is 4 for demonettes, then, which is very easy on 3d6, they can then summon those 10 demonettes to the battlefield. And I've got 5 heralds, and the 2 heralds on foot, which are part of the sort of the triplet series, are going to advance with the main force, but then they are going to stay still, and they are going to start summoning in reinforcements. So it's mostly around the centre where you're going to get reinforcements. But obviously I do have heralds on the flank as well, on the chariots. They might want some infantry support, in which case channel in some demonettes. There's no penalty for trying, other than the fact you might cause yourself a few mortal wounds. Welcome to chaos. So I've been a bit, I must admit, I've been a bit jaggedy there on what I'm going to include, but I hope you understand that is my 2,000 point army. You can see it here, so just pause and read. It's awful writing, but and it's not a properly written out army list, but I hope it gives you an idea on where I'm aiming with this gaming tale thing. And also, if for example, in a year to 2 years time, whatever, it became impossible to use heralds on seeker chariots, it'd be a blinding shame if it did, but if you couldn't do it, then 4 seekers are the equivalent of the difference between exalted. Basically, what I'd do is I'd just say, well, there's no herald on that chariot. It's an exalted chariot, so I've got 6 exalted, 3 exalted chariots over there, 3 over there, 2 over there. So I have 8 exalted chariots overall. You still use the spearhead detachment, and I'll use the heralds on foot to fulfill, or one of the heralds. Yeah, just one of the heralds on foot to fulfill the HQ requirements to have that detachment, and nothing changes. All that happens is, instead of having 2 units of 12 seekers, I'll have 2 units of 14 seekers, and I'll have normal chariots. There'll be no herald on the chariots there. It'd be a shame if that happens, but I'm going to do it as long as I can get away with it. I'm going to have a herald on a chariot, and to be honest, I think there's a lot of goodness coming for slaanesh in the next year anyway, so it's not really much of a problem. So one last time, guys, I'm gonna summarise for you what I'm including in my army, just so there's no confusion. I have a warlord who's a herald of slaanesh on foot. She's a psyker. She has a slothful claws, which is a relic, and she has a bewitching aura, which is a warlord trait. She has 2 sisters, which are also heralds on foot. Okay, those other heralds on foot are just psychers, but have no relics or warlord traits. They are on foot, and they accompany, each one of them accompanies a unit of 12 demonettes. They're going to deploy themselves most likely in the centre of the battlefield, where numbers count, and they're going to find themselves supported by 2 exalted seeker chariots, and that, what you see there in the centre, is your battalion detachment, which gives me 3 command points. Okay, then on either side, sorry, not just that, but then on either side you also then have 2 fast attack. You have one fast attack here and 1 fast attack here. So on one side you have 12 seekers, the other side you have another 12 seekers, and that overall, so the 3 demonettes, the 3 heralds, the 2 chariots, and the 2 units of seekers forms the battalion detachment, which gives me the 3 command points. Then on the far flanks I will have on both sides a herald and 2 on an exalted seeker chariot, and 2 accompanying exalted seeker chariots. I have the same on this side, and those 2 combined, okay, will be 4 HQs. Sorry, 4 heavy support and 2 HQs, and that will form my spearhead detachment, and that gives me only 1 additional command point, so it's not much more. So overall, the army will have 7 command points. It's not a lot, I know. There are ways of getting a lot more than that. But for a mono god dedication, there's a lot of models on the battlefield. It's hard to get, even demonettes that are fragile, they're hard to get rid of. I play Imperial Guard. That's my primary army. So I suppose I'm used to fielding horde armies. Guardsmen are hard to get rid of, partly because they're orders, but partly because there's just so many of them. They're not hard to get rid of because they're toughness, like a Space Marine or Custodes. They're hard to get rid of because of their numbers, and any Tyranny player or Orc player will give you the same talk there. Numbers count, and being able to field not only, you know, best part of 50, is it 50? No, 30. The best part of 40 demonettes to start with, but then being able to bring in 40 demonettes through channeling wherever I need them. That is an invaluable asset. So I have deep strike assets essentially also, and I can actually, if I so desire, use command points to put those 4, or a combination, say only 2 out of 4 units of demonettes. If I don't want to channel them, I can just simply deep strike them, and for each unit it will cost me 1 command point. which in some ways is kind of worth it. Having 5 command points, having 2 demonette units that you know you can bring on whenever you want, and the other 2 where you just channel them as and when it feels right on the battlefield. There's a lot of tactical flexibility with this force. There's a lot of mobility, a lot of speed, and you're gonna hit fast, and you're gonna get hit hard, and then you're gonna crumble when you get hit back if there's anything left. But hopefully, if you've done the job, Slaanesh, the Prince of Darkness, so to speak, he will be very happy because you would have killed anything and everything that's in front of you anyway. It's been a long video, guys. Bloody hell, I thought it'd be a 5-minute video. It's half an hour. I'm sorry if you're still here, or thank you anyway for if you're still here. At least you haven't got bored. And feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm more than happy to read them. And I can't wait to show you and expand as my force expands. I've just started to base my demonettes, so I've done a video on how to create demon-rolled bases, and I don't know, not going quite as well as I hoped, but it's going okay. I hope I haven't ruined the bases. They look ugly, but they look okay. But I suppose they're supposed to look ugly. I don't know. I'll see you guys. I'm waffling. Bye bye. Bye bye.